Rashid Lake and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news edition on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's have a look at today's headlines. His Holiness is recovering well, says Dr. Mayman, Chief of the Adult Reconstruction and Joint Replacement Service. Sources report detention of a Tibetan human rights defender by Chinese authorities. Tibetan Parliamentary Delegation concludes Tibet Advocacy in Delhi meets Indian leaders. All-Party Indian Parliamentary Forum for Tibet appoints new convener and co-convener. Office of Tibet, Canberra organises preparatory meeting for His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday celebration. Sea Learning Workshop for North American Tibetan Youths concludes. Bharat-Tibet Sahyog Manch National Council meeting highlights urgent issues in Tibet. On Monday this week, the Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama issued an update on His Holiness the Dalai Lama's health post his knee surgery. In the update, Dr. David Mayman, Managing Director, Chief of the Adult Reconstruction and Joint Replacement Service at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, shared that His Holiness is recovering well and working diligently with physical therapy and making great progress. The announcement further mentioned that the physical therapy will continue over the next 6 to 12 months to optimize his recovery, and His Holiness is expected to continue for a full-year treatment after surgery. The Tibetan Center for Human Rights and Democracy strongly condemned the relentless persecution of Tibetan human rights defender Tsering Tso, who was arbitrarily arrested and subjected to a 10-day administrative detention by the local police in Yushu Prefecture. According to the report released by the center, Tsering Tso, a tour guide by profession, was detained for the 4th time in 5 years by the Chinese authorities for exposing Chinese authorities' racial discrimination practices against 2 Tibetan monks on their way to pilgrimage in Tachin County, Nakchu Prefecture, Tibet Autonomous Region. Upon her return to her hometown in Yushu, Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture, she was detained on 29th June on the charges of endangering social stability and was later released on 8 July after 10 days in administrative detention. This is the 4th time Tsering Tso has been detained for criticizing the Chinese government's discriminatory policies and advocating for equal and fair treatment of Tibetans inside Tibet. Starting Monday this week, a delegation of the Standing Committee of the Tibetan Parliament in Exile, led by Speaker Khenpo Sonam Tempel, visited Delhi to advocate for Tibet from 5th to 9th August. The members of the delegation, divided into 2 groups, continued their advocacy efforts to bring Indian leadership's attention to the grave situation of the Tibetan people under the Chinese Communist regime. The Tibetan Parliament delegation met with union ministers, parliamentarians from 5 different political parties, 5 former MPs and MLAs, and national spokesperson of BJP. During their meetings, the delegation highlighted the cordial relationship shared by India and Tibet, grounded in geographical, cultural and religious ties, while focusing on increasing China's expansionist and aggressive policies and the need of holding the Chinese government accountable for its actions. They highlighted the middle way policy of the Central Tibetan Administration, a mutually beneficial way to peacefully resolve the Sino-Tibet conflict and promote stability and coexistence between Tibetans and Chinese, followed by the 9 rounds of talks between Tibetan and Chinese representatives from 2002 to 2010. The delegation also made the 12-point appeals to the Indian dignitaries and government officials. On the 2nd day, the delegation met with 2 union ministers, 9 parliamentarians from 5 different political parties, 5 former MPs and MLAs, and national spokesperson of BJP. On Wednesday this week, the All-Party Indian Parliamentary Forum for Tibet appointed Sri Badruhari Matap, pro tem Speaker of the 18th Lok Sabha and MP of the BJP, as convener, and Sri Tapir Gao, MP of BJP, as co-convener, marking the successful revival of the forum in New Delhi. The announcement was made during a dinner hosted by the Tibetan Parliament in Exile and the India-Tibet Coordination Office, attended by Tibetan Parliament Speaker Khenpo Tempel, MPs Geshe Laramba Adut Loben Thupten Gelsen, Chane Sound Thunduptashi, Geshe Ngaba Kagri, Geshe Atong Rinchen Gelsen, and Tsering Yangchen. Also present were Jigme Jungne, representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama at the Tibet Bureau, New Delhi, Tashi Deki, acting coordinator of ITCO, and the other staff members. Followed by the official announcement of the convener and co-convener of the forum, Khenpo Tempel, the Speaker of Tibetan Parliament in Exile. His address extended gratitude to India and its people for their unwavering support and generous hospitality. The Office of Tibet in Canberra convened a meeting with the President and Secretary of Australian Tibetan Community Association, presidents and executive members of Australia-based regional Tibetan associations, a representative from the Australia-Tibet Council's Board of Directors, and the Australia VTAC coordinator at the Sydney Rigne Kiseka Weekend School to deliberate on programs pertaining to the arrangements for the forthcoming 90th birthday anniversary of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. The Social, Emotional and Ethical Learning Workshop tailored for Tibetan youths in North America concluded on 4th August. The workshop was conducted through a collaborative effort between the Office of Tibet, North America, Emory University and the Tibetan Association of New York and New Jersey, hosted at the Tibetan Community Center Hall of New York and New Jersey from 2nd August to 4th August. The primary objectives of the workshop encompassed the transmission of traditional values and the cultivation of compassion among Tibetan youths, all conducted within the context of sea learning. During a 3-day workshop, Professor Lobsang Tenzin Negi from Emory University, along with Sundu Sampel, the Assistant Director of the Sea Learning Program, Scientist Tenzin Sonam and Tenzin Yudun from Connecticut, who serves as the program facilitator for the youths, jointly led the workshop as the 4 expert facilitators. The culminating day of the workshop was overseen by the Washington's Tibet Liaison Officer Kungatashi and Dr. Namge Chutup from the Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C. A total of 70 students from 9 different locations across United States and Canada registered in the workshop. The Bharat-Tibet Sahyog Manch National Council held a significant meeting on 3rd and 4th August at the Seva Satna and Gram Vikas Kendra in Samalka, Sonipat, Haryana. The event brought together 267 members from 24 states and featured the adoption of 5 crucial resolutions addressing pressing issues concerning Tibet and Sino-Indian relations. The meeting was honored by the presence of several distinguished guests and officials, including Kalyan Domagiri, Department of Security, Central Tibetan Administration, who attended the event as its chief guest. Honorable Kalyan Domagiri, in her poignant and forceful address, condemned China's aggressive policies and highlighted its expansionist ambitions. She called for global recognition and collective action against these harmful intentions, emphasizing the urgency and gravity of the situation. That is all the news for this week's edition of Tibet This Week. Thank you so much for watching.